They've been over more times than most couples have date nights. Yet every time the internet swears Nicolandria is done, another clue pops up that makes the story even messier. Because this wasn't just a cute Love Island romance. It started with Nick being coupled up with someone else, then a sudden villa shakeup that flipped the entire season, and by the time the cameras stopped rolling, fans were already accusing the relationship of being strategic. Then came the breakup chatter, rumors about Nick showing up somewhere he shouldn't, people tracking follows and likes like it's a criminal investigation, and non-stop theories that Olandria's exploding career left him behind. And just when you think it's finally quiet, Olandria steps onto the Golden Globes scene and drops a line that sounds like a soft launch into Hollywood. So what's actually real here? Love, branding, or a perfectly timed mix of both? Let's rewind to the moment this couple even became Nicolandria, because that's where the real plot twist starts. Before anyone ever shipped them, Olandria was already living a life that didn't match the Bama Barbie nickname at all. On the surface, she showed up as this confident, camera-ready girl from Decatur, Alabama. But behind that image was someone who'd been carrying real weight for years. She's the oldest of 6, with 5 younger siblings watching her every move, and she became a first-generation college graduate after earning her degree from Tuskegee University in logistics, materials, and supply chain management. She even started in computer science before switching paths, which tells you she wasn't just chasing a vibe, she was chasing a future. And while people assumed she was already deep in influencer life before the villa, she was working a very normal, very structured job. She'd been with Otis Elevator Company since 2022, supporting modernization projects for elevators and urban transport systems while living in Houston. That's not reality star energy. That's, I clock in and handle business energy. Nick had his own version of that contrast. He came in at 24 from Jacksonville, Florida, balancing 2 worlds at once. Registered nurse on one side, model on the other. So when he walked into Love Island looking polished and confident, there was already this built-in mystery. Is he the serious, steady guy? Or the guy who knows exactly how to play the spotlight? Put those 2 backgrounds together and you get why they hit different. This wasn't just a villa fling between 2 people with time to kill. It was 2 careers, 2 images, 2 very different kinds of ambition colliding in one place. And then the villa threw the first curveball. Because Nick didn't even start out choosing Olandria. For the first stretch of the season, Nicolandria didn't even exist. Because Nick wasn't moving like Olandria was his endgame. He started off coupled with Sierra Ortega, and that pairing set the tone for how people looked at him. Some viewers saw him as the calm, dependable guy. Others weren't convinced, especially because even early on, you could catch moments where his attention didn't feel fully locked in. It was the kind of setup that always turns messy later, because the audience starts keeping score of every glance, every conversation, every accidental chemistry moment. Then everything flipped in early July when Sierra was suddenly removed from the villa after old social media posts resurfaced that many people online criticized as racist. The show didn't just lose a contestant overnight, it changed the entire storyline. And Nick instantly became the center of a debate he couldn't control. Some fans felt like he got blindsided. Others questioned whether he was about to make a safe pivot on camera to protect his image. None of that was ever proven, but the suspicion spread fast because reality TV doesn't leave room for neutral takes. And that's what made his next move so controversial. Because once Sierra was gone, Nick turned his attention to Alandria, and it happened fast enough that people started side-eyeing the timing. Was it genuine? Was it convenient? Was it a rebound? Was it strategy? Meanwhile, Alandria wasn't exactly in a position to play games. She'd come in with a reputation for being real, and suddenly she's being pulled into the messiest shift of the season. But the villa didn't give them time to slowly figure it out. Because the next twist forced a decision that could have ended them on the spot. They didn't get the luxury of a slow-burn romance. The show basically shoved them to the edge of a cliff and said, decide. Week 3 brought the Casa Amor chaos, and this is where their story stopped being cute and started being a test. Both of them ended up dumped from the villa, and the rules were brutal. Either lock in as a couple right now, or leave the show. No long talks. No, let's see where it goes. Just a yes or no moment with the entire season hanging over it. That's what made their choice hit so hard. Instead of walking away and saving themselves the stress, they picked each other. And once that happened, the energy shifted. Suddenly, what looked like a convenient pivot started feeling like two people realizing they actually didn't want to lose the connection. Not long after, the show even framed one of their moments as the best kiss of the season. And it didn't stop there. Ariana, on After Sun, basically said what a lot of fans were thinking. These two needed to explore it deeper. That outside validation matters on a show like this, because once the host co-signs you, the audience starts watching you like you're the real storyline. That's when the ship name took off. Nicolandria wasn't just a couple anymore, it became a fandom. TikTok edits everywhere, comment sections turning into war zones, people acting like they had stock in the relationship. But here's the twist, the moment they became the most talked about pair, the show didn't even give them the win. And that second place finish ended up changing everything. Second place was supposed to be the almost ending. For them, it was the beginning of the takeover. When the season 7 finale hit on July 13, 2025, Nick and Olandria finished runner-up. On paper, that means they lost. But the attention they got afterward didn't look like a second-place story at all. If anything, the public treated them like the main characters who just didn't get the trophy. And the irony got even louder a few weeks later, because reports said the actual winners, Amaya Español and Brian Aronals, split up by August 2025. Meanwhile, Nicolandria kept showing signs they were still moving forward. That contrast is exactly why people started calling them the couple that won without winning. They didn't wait long to address it either. Just days after the finale, both of them told media outlets around July 16th and 17th that they were officially together. Then on July 22nd, Olandria doubled down in a Kiki Palmer podcast interview, basically telling everyone to relax. She said their connection was genuine, even if people questioned it, and that they were going to move at their own pace. That one line, our own pace, ended up becoming the most important detail, because it sounded mature. But to the internet, it sounded like a warning label. And once the reunion got closer, the pressure didn't just rise. It turned into a full-blown countdown, with fans demanding proof that this relationship was real. By the time the reunion era rolled around, people weren't even asking, are they dating? They were asking, where's the ring? And why isn't she pregnant yet? And yes, people were actually saying that out loud. The reunion was filmed August 12, 2025 and aired August 25, and in that gap, the comment sections turned into a scoreboard. Every selfie got dissected. Every caption became a hidden message. If Nick posted and Olandria didn't comment fast enough, it was, they broke up. If she posted solo, it was, she's distancing. It wasn't just curiosity anymore. It was fans trying to force a timeline on two people they'd never met. Nick finally addressed it head-on in interviews, basically saying he saw the demands for labels and big milestones, but he wasn't letting strangers dictate the pace. He even pointed out how wild some of the expectations were, people joking that she better show up married to the reunion, like a relationship is a receipt you owe the internet. And that's the thing about taking it slow in public. In real life, it's normal. Online, it reads like secrecy. And secrecy, real or imagined, is where rumor culture eats. But while everyone was busy arguing about whether Nicolandria was moving fast enough, Olandria was quietly building something that made the relationship conversation look small. Because her post-Villa career didn't grow, it exploded. While people were busy refreshing Instagram to see if Nick liked her latest post, Olandria was quietly pulling off a post-reality TV rise that usually takes influencers 5 years. By August 2025, she'd reportedly signed with Digital Brand Architects, a management company connected to United Talent Agency. That's the kind of representation that doesn't just get you free products. It puts you in rooms with real brand budgets, real campaigns, and bigger long-term positioning. And almost immediately, the opportunities started stacking up like she'd been planning this the whole time. Then September hit, and she didn't just attend New York Fashion Week, she walked it. She made her runway debut at Sergio Hudson's Spring-Summer 2026 show, and instead of being a one-and-done reality girl cameo, she kept getting booked. Off-White, Alexander Wong, Theophilio, for major runway moments in her first Fashion Week run, which is almost unheard of for someone who'd only just left a dating show. At the same time, brands started circling from every direction. Not just one or two, full-on mainstream companies. Amazon, Hyundai, Microsoft, Vaseline, Shea Moisture, Uber. It was a flood. And one of the smartest moves was how she blended solo star and power couple, without overdoing either. Some partnerships were all her. Others pulled Nick in just enough to keep the Nicolandria brand alive. The biggest proof of that. The NYX collaboration. When they dropped a Nicolandria lip kit, it didn't linger on shelves. It sold out fast enough that fans treated it like a limited sneaker drop. That's not normal Love Island hype. That's fandom behavior. And as her following climbed into the millions, the engagement stayed ridiculous. The kind of numbers that make brands stop caring whether you won your season, because attention is the real prize. But here's where it gets complicated. When someone's career takes off that fast, the relationship stops being a relationship in the public eye. It becomes a storyline people feel entitled to fact-check. And that's exactly when things got even louder. The part that really made people stop and stare wasn't the runway walks or the brand deals. It was the way Olandria started getting validated by spaces that usually don't take reality stars seriously at all. By fall 2025, the recognition stopped looking like Love Island buzz and started looking like an actual industry rollout. Cosmopolitan named her to their Z Stars class of 2025. Ebony gave her a People's Choice Award at the Power 100 Gala. Then the Route 100 listed her among the most influential black leaders in the country. That's a completely different lane than the usual post-show path of discount codes and sponsored selfies. And it didn't end with entertainment awards either. She was invited into business and leadership spaces that most influencers can't even get a response from. She received a Women in Business Power and Purpose Award at Harvard's undergraduate gala, which meant she wasn't just attending, she was being honored on stage. She also popped up as a keynote speaker at major events, the kind that reframe you from viral contestant to someone brands can build campaigns around. That shift changed the public dynamic around Nicolandria too. Once Olandria started stacking these credibility moves, some fans began speculating that the relationship had turned into a balancing act. Was Nick still being treated like an equal half of the brand, or was he slowly becoming a side character in her eyes? To be clear, that's just online talk, nothing confirmed, but it spread because her career momentum was so loud that people assumed it had to come with tension somewhere. And right when that conversation hit its peak, the internet found its favorite weapon, a rumor with just enough mystery to set everything on fire. One random TikTok claim in November 2025 was all it took to send the fandom into full meltdown mode. A user online alleged they'd spotted Nick at a strip club. No clear photo. No verified receipt. Nothing that could actually confirm it. But that didn't matter, because once a rumor like that hits the timeline, it stops being about evidence and starts being about emotion. Within hours, people were treating it like a case file, replaying old clips from the villa, rewriting his intentions, and connecting dots that weren't even on the same page. And the timing couldn't have been worse, because Nicolandria already had the perfect setup for suspicion. They weren't constantly posting together. Olandria was moving through fashion and brand events at warp speed. Nick wasn't glued to her hip at every appearance. So for the internet, the rumor didn't feel random, it felt like an explanation. That's how the "they're done" narratives grew legs. One side swore it was proof of disrespect. The other side argued it was just people wanting chaos because the couple wasn't giving them constant access. Meanwhile, every tiny detail became proof of something. A missing like, a delayed comment, a solo photo, a quiet weekend. Then, in early December, Nick finally addressed the breakup talk directly. In a viral moment that made the rounds online, he was asked point blank if they'd split, and he shut it down with a simple answer. No. He even doubled down with the kind of line fans love, basically saying Nicolandria was for life. But even with that on record, the rumor cycle didn't fully stop. Because the next thing everyone noticed wasn't what he said. It was where Olandria kept showing up without him, and what she started hinting at when the cameras caught her in Hollywood spaces. Showing up solo at the Golden Globes is the kind of thing that either means, we're solid, or it's already over and they're saving face. And of course, the internet chose option 2. On January 11, 2026, Olandria hit the Golden Globes red carpet without Nick, and the comment sections instantly turned into a trial. But when reporters asked, she didn't act weird about it or dodge. She made it sound intentional, saying she and Nick decided to prioritize their solo careers first. Not, we're taking a break. Not, we're figuring it out. Just a very clear boundary, together, but not attached at the hip. Then she dropped the line that mattered even more than the relationship update. When asked about what she wants next, she said she'd love to take a deep dive into acting. That was the first time she'd publicly framed Hollywood as more than a red carpet hobby. And she didn't say it on a random live stream. She said it at one of the biggest industry events of the year, surrounded by the exact people who can make that jump real. And 4 days later, on January 15, 2026, she was in Paris at the Bridgerton Season 4 premiere. To be clear, she wasn't announced as cast, and there were no confirmed acting roles at that point. But her presence there, right after the Golden Globes, looked like a signal. She's getting closer to the rooms where casting decisions happen. So now the story isn't just, are they still together? It's, what happens to Nicolandria if Olandria actually crosses over into acting, and Nick's career path doesn't move at the same speed? Because that's where reality TV couples usually crack, not from one rumor, but from real life pulling them in different directions. So where does that leave Nicolandria right now, after months of their done posts, detective-level fan investigations, and non-stop theories? Based on what both of them have said publicly in this timeline, they never actually broke up. The strip club claim stayed unverified, and Nick directly denied that they split. Olandria also backed up the same message at the Golden Globes, making it clear they're still together. Just moving differently than fans expected, with more focus on building individual careers instead of performing a relationship 24/7 online. And that might be the real reason their story keeps pulling headlines. Most Love Island couples either go all in on the public romance, or they disappear. Nicolandria is doing something riskier, staying together while refusing to play the internet's timeline game. No forced engagement talk, no constant couple content, no proving anything on command. At the same time, Olandria's career is snowballing in a way that's rare even for winners. Runways, major campaigns, major awards, major rooms. And now she's publicly flirting with acting, without any confirmed roles yet, but with the kind of access that suggests she's trying to make the jump for real. Which sets up the one question that matters more than any rumor. If Olandria lands a real acting role and her world gets even bigger, does that lock Nicolandria in as a true long-term power couple? Or does it quietly create the distance that fame always does when two people start moving at different speeds? Because the wildest part of this story is that the internet keeps waiting for a breakup headline. But the real twist might be watching them survive it.